Hello again, everyone. This is Joe Hentges with Beyond the Chart, and in this technical analysis of the stock market video, we're going to take a look at the S&P 500 on a daily and weekly basis. Take a look at one of my indicators, the new high, new lows on the New York Stock Exchange, and check in on our key ETFs and see where this market's going. So let's dive right in. Let's take a look here at the S&P. This is the action that we had on Friday. Now, my wave count, at first we were thinking that maybe we had a minute wave too. Again, we're looking for a fifth wave up in here, and it'll be a little clearer, better picture on the weekly chart. But I'm now thinking minute wave 2 pullback could either have ended here, or it could be a little bit more stretched out with all of this very compressed action that we're getting. We could have an Elliott wave flat, an A, B, C that's working out here in terms of a flat. Now, it still has not pulled back very much. If we were looking at a retracement, I think there's a potential 5 waves in here, a pullback, a very slight sideways, and a final little very small move. That's a possibility. When you look at the retracement of this move right here, we haven't even retraced 23% of it. So, we really haven't pulled back much at this point in time. So what's really going on here is a little bit puzzling, and we keep trying to analyze it. On Friday, you could see the big movement that happened because of the announcement, the Fed and Janet Yellen's perspective in talking out of Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And but it really didn't end up, down very much. It was down, 3.4 points. So let's take a look at the weekly chart. The weekly on here, here's the picture that we've got on the weekly chart. And you can see how from this bottom in February, we're looking at for this final fifth wave that could be, it could be a variety of things. The classic impulse wave up like this, a 5-wave sequence. It could be an ending diagonal, that's not a very good ending diagonal. It'd be more like this kind of thing, like a rising wedge. And it could also be like an expanding wedge. So there's several scenarios that could take place, which is why we continue to evaluate the wave count as it unfolds in here. When we look at this channel, we zoom back out. Here's the channel we've been in since this whole rally. Now, and when we project out from wave 3, it does project that we've got quite a ways more to go, I think, in here. But we need to get to see this move starting to continue to accelerate like it did early July in here. So that's the wave count we've got on the S&P 500. Let's see, what's the next thing I'm looking at here? The high-low. Now here's another, this indicator seems to be reinforcing the fact that we're staying positive. It hasn't broken down below the zero line in terms of new highs, new lows. Look at this action that we had in January, in February. And then after this big launch that we've had since February, we have stayed above the zero line, except for this basically is a pullback to the zero line, minus 15, minus 11. We've stayed above. And the thing that's interesting also is if you draw a line through this area here, this congestion here, you're right about around 100. Now, if you draw a line through what happens post-Brexit, we seem to be fluctuating around 185. It's like we've jumped up a level and we've stayed there. We haven't broken down below this level in here, like 75 or so. What is it, 76 and 73. So we continue to stay in this elevated level, which I think continues to reinforce the move to the high side. Now, if all of a sudden this changes and this breaks down and goes below zero, then something's changed in the market. That the dynamics change. So we'll have to reflect that. The high yield bond fund is another thing that is continuing to say risk on. It's staying above the 10-day moving average in here. Continues to, this is just sideways consolidation. We get a big pullback. Did this collapse at this point? No, it hasn't. We got a pullback here. We almost look like what I think the HYG is doing is I think it's a big counter trend move for it because it's had a big move to the downside. Okay. And I think this is counter trendish. And I think we've had 5 waves up in an A, doing a B, and we're doing another 5-wave C. That's why I think that will complete a 4th wave. Now, we'll continue to watch and see how far it pulls back, but right now that's what I'm looking at, and it continues to act bullish. All right, so that's that indicator, and that's that key ETF. Let's take a look at the three that we always look at. Semiconductors continue to ride to the high side. There's I think a high probability that maybe intermediate wave 3 has completed itself here, and we'll continue to watch this. And if that's the case, you can see how 2 has pulled back somewhat sharply. Maybe 4 will be a sideways consolidation. It's gone, pretty far, pretty fast here over the last month and a half to 2 months. The home builders, not so much. I mean, it's just since July 28th, this last month, we just had sideways consolidation. Not doing a whole lot of anything. It hasn't broken above that trend line, which is the trend line, back about a year, almost a year. We had to pull back, and it pulled back a second time, and we're just kind of sitting here moving sideways. Like trying to decide, there's a possibility. I mean, you can see how there's a little 5-wave move in here, and we could be just a sideways basing a little bit right before a new push to the upside. So we'll continue to watch that on the home builders. And the financials continue to ride above here. Very tight trading though in here, just kind of like this. This was sideways. This is tight and moving to the upside, but continues to ride along the 10-day moving average, and has done so ever since it broke above this trend line, this downward trending line here. So continue to look at this as if it's pushing upward also. I'm going to be diving into this more next week in a post next weekend, looking at the XLF and looking at the 3 stocks making up XLF, the 3 biggest positions. Kind of like what I did this week, and let me pull it up, and so you should check this out. My latest post this weekend is where are the gold miners headed? So I take a look at the GDX chart, and I look at Barrick Gold, Newmont Mining, and Gold Corp at their charts and talk about that in this post. So head on over to my website at joehentges.net, and it's titled Beyond the Chart, and check out the latest post. So I have just implemented a theme, so if you've been there before, this is going to look a little bit different, and I'm still in the process of putting it in, so it's not completed. All right, everyone, I hope you found that helpful, and if you did, hit the like button, and if you're not subscribed on the YouTube, subscribe, and that way you get notifications as to when I put out new videos and all that good stuff. And like I said, head on over to the website and check out my new post. All right, everyone, have a great Monday and great week this week.